Hello, BookTube. Welcome to week 4 of Pentathon. Matt Wall, the paperback junkie, created this and enjoyed it. First week, let's see, we did Edgar Rice Burroughs. Second, H.P. Lovecraft. Last week, Robert E. Howard. And this week, a hard-boiled or noir detective story. So I picked a story out of this, The World of Mystery Fiction, edited by Elliot L. Gilbert. And this is Bowling Green State University Popular Press, Bowling Green, Ohio. This thing came out in 1983. Now, it's got quite a interesting table of contents. I'll just read through it before I get to the story. So it starts in the beginning. So it has a couple Charles Dickens and a Vidocq, Victims of My Craft. I don't know that one. Then the second part is Poe and the First Great Detective, which is Murders in the Rue Morgue, The Purloined Letter, and Telltale Heart, which I love. Then The Games Afoot, which is all Arthur Conan Doyle. Then the more great detectives, G.K. Chesterton, Melville Davis and Post, Ernest Bramah, Jacques Futrell. Then it has The Golden Age, which has Dorothy Sayers, Ellery Queen, and Georges Simenon. Then The Black Mass School, which is where I got the story for this. Was Dashiell Hammett, The House on Turk Street, that's one I read. Then there's Raymond Chandler, I'll Be Waiting, Cornell Woolrich, Murder at the Automat, and Ross MacDonald, The Sleeping Dogs. A nice selection there. And then finally there's The Limits of Detection, Robert Barr, Agatha Christie, and Jorge Luis Borges. So the one I read is A House on in Turk Street. I don't know why I keep saying on. By Dashiell Hammett. So Samuel Dashiell Hammett, 1894-1961, the most important and influential contributors to the Black Mass style of detective fiction, was born in Maryland, dropped out of school when he was 13, and held a number of odd jobs before working for the Pinkerton National Detective Agency. So he had practical experience. Later on he ended up living for quite some time with Lillian Hellman. He was World War I vet, contracted TB, and years later the combination of that and alcohol cut his life short. But this is a story about the Continental Op. Is a nameless San Francisco agency investigator whose adventures appeared in the pages of Black Mass magazine during the 1920s and helped form the so-called hard-boiled school of mystery writing. He also wrote 2 novels about the Op, Red Harvest and the Dane Curse. He also wrote The Maltese Falcon, featuring Sam Spade as a detective. So this is, I haven't read a lot of his work, and this is the first Continental Op story I think I've read. I'm not positive, but it seems like it's the first one I read. And it takes place in San Francisco, of course. It would be in the 20s, or sometime around then. The detective, the Continental Op, is going, it's a Continental Detective Agency, that's why he's called the Continental Op. He's going from house to house trying to track down this guy, young guy, and he's got a cover story. And as he goes from house to house, it doesn't seem like anybody knows who he's talking about in this neighborhood. Until he finally gets to a house, and a sweet little old lady invites him in. She's in the middle of tea, and she doesn't want to get cold. And that's when our mystery really begins. And he is at a huge disadvantage. Things turn on him rather quickly. And through a bit of luck, but quick thinking and good reflexes and a let's say realistic view of the characters involved once he gets past his initial problem. He has another adventure. So it's great fun. His writing style is very clear. There are some archaisms with the language, ways the sentences are formed we might not quite use nowadays. So in that sense, and this is very minor, you can tell it's not a contemporary story, and but it's very fast paced, pulpy, but not overly so. It just it's a good story. It would make a good half-hour television detective drama, and so I enjoyed it very much. And thank you, Matt, for this Pentathon. One more weekend to go, and I'll be reading a Batman comic, or a collection of comics in this case, one I've been wanting to get to for a while. So, thank you, BookTube.